Well, a couple days ago, the Thunderhill Health Market, the victim of what appears certainly to be arson. Rhonda joins us. You came in to talk a little bit about what happened, but also some concerns you have around that.
Yeah, I guess I just want to know why there's no police on duty from 2 till 7 every night.
Let's get back to that in a second. We'll back up to what happened. The store caught on fire, obviously.
Yeah, a malt health cocktail was thrown through the window.
That's hard to accept, even for me, because I'm not suggesting it didn't happen. I'm suggesting that we've seen a lot of things in Swan River. We've seen businesses being broken into. We've seen garden gnomes being stolen. We've seen garages broken into. What I don't hear a lot of is fire bombings. And somehow you managed to be the first one.
Well, must have definitely been a personal attack. Not sure why. I guess, why do I have a business in town here if it's not safe? Because people are just roaming the streets, stealing stuff and breaking into countless businesses. Like my store's been here a year and a little bit, and I could probably name 6 businesses that have been broken into in that time. So honestly, for me, I think it was just a matter of time. But a malt health cocktail is definitely a personal attack, not so much stealing and things like that.
Well, I want to cover off, because I know initially the first morning there was a break-in Red Apple, basically the same night, just within a few minutes of what happened at your store. And I think the first assumption from everyone was it was 2 break-ins, but that's not the case. There was no robbery at your store?
No, didn't steal anything, no.
So it was just simply the malt health
Arson.
cocktail?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you been broken into before, or is this the first time you've had?
It's the first time. It's the first time. There's people that live upstairs in those apartments, and they have told me before that there's people hanging out late at night and things like that. So I tightened security a little bit, but no one's ever actually broken in.
Well, in a way, you're lucky, I suppose, until now, because certainly, as you mentioned, lots of other businesses have seen that.
Well, I have a solid customer base, and I feel like I'm mostly liked in the community.
Tell me a little bit about that night. I have once or twice got the opportunity to get the phone call from somebody saying you need to come in. What goes through your mind?
Well, I was sleeping, and they phoned me, and I answered it, and I asked them to dispatch the police, and I can see my cameras from my house, so I fired it up and had a look and loaded up my kids in the middle of the night from their sleeping beds and went to go check it out.
Wow. When you got here, what did you find?
A whole bunch of firefighters. There was two of their big trucks and then a couple of vans. There was some police on the scene, and they didn't let me in right away because obviously it's a crime scene. So they had to sweep it, I guess, and then they let me in to check out the footage.
What's the state inside? What's happened? How bad is the damage?
Well, I feel like the gods were with me because it actually didn't do too much damage. I've got some rubber mats that the malt health cocktail landed on. So my dad's display case, which is like an antique from 1927, is fine. And they didn't hit any walls or anything. So it was pretty much the window. I had a basket by the window that definitely went up. And the heat damage, everything's covered in smoke. So smoke damage on everything. So I'm going to have to, take it all out, and insurance should cover some of it. I'm meeting a guy later today to see what's salvageable and what's not.
Talk to me a little bit about the insurance thing. I know there's been a talk of a GoFundMe page maybe getting set up as well.
Yeah.
Sounding like maybe that's a good idea.
Yeah, I could use it. I'm not sure my insurance has great coverage.
Okay. Let's move. One of the first comments you made, you're concerned about the RCMP coverage in Swan River, especially overnight. I want to hear more about your thoughts on that.
Well, I wasn't actually aware of it until after it happened, but there is no cops on duty from 2 till 7. So if something happens, they actually have to get called in, which is crazy because there was 10 cops to give me and my mom tickets at the co-op for not wearing masks, but they don't even have people patrolling the streets at night. And there's tons of criminal activity. I'm not alone in this one.
No, I don't think anyone would suggest you are, from the things we've been seeing going on. And some of us, I guess, have known that little fact for a long time. I would suspect business owners aren't the only ones that are figuring out when there's no police coverage. You kind of suspect other people know too.
Oh, for sure. They're smart criminals, I guess.
It tends to happen. What are the solutions? Can you see any solutions here for what should be done, and who should be doing it? Whose problem is this?
Well, I'm not sure who decided to not have police on at night, but that should change for sure. But we have to vote on that. I just feel like it should be natural. Like we should have police surveillance in Swan 24/7. Like crazy stuff happens all the time. There's people pulled out of the car and beaten up. There's, the dollar store's been robbed like twice recently, and at first they did apparently this is all word on the street, but there was a fire lit first, and then they went and robbed the dollar store while the cops were all busy apparently. So
a lot of people have reported to us as a radio station receiving an answer like this. They call the police fairly late at night, perhaps fairly early in the morning. They're reporting a crime, an issue, or something. They're told by the dispatcher a police officer will call you. A little while later, a police officer calls and says, listen, there's no police on duty right now. I'm at home in bed. I don't judge this to be important enough to get up. So, yeah, I'm not going to be getting out of bed. You should tell the town council to pay for policing overnight because they don't pay for it. It's their fault.
Well, how can they afford to have 10 police officers and 4 cars to come give me and my mom tickets at the co-op for not wearing a mask in the afternoon, but they can't afford to have like 2 guys cruising around in the night? It doesn't make any sense to me, but though none of the world is really making sense to me these days, so.
That's true for a lot of people as well. You mentioned you're going to meet with somebody today to take a look at the store, insurance folks, I assume. What's the future hold for you? I know when we were talking before we started the interview, you've got some big questions in your mind about should there be businesses in Swan River? Should you be here? Do you want to rebuild in Swan River? Do you want to stay here? What's it take from the town to want to be here?
Well, I have a lot of great customers that I would have trouble leaving, but if this is what's going to happen, and like if I don't feel safe in the community, then why would I be here? I've got 2 little girls to think about, and I came here on a whim. I can leave on a whim too, I guess, but like I enjoy it here. I've been here 4 years now. My store's been in Swan River about 1.5 years, but I don't know. I'm starting to finally like it, and I'm not ready to leave. But if this is what's going to happen, and like the criminals and drug dealers run the night, like I'll move my store. Like,
so if we had, I'm trying to just get my mind around what would it take. So if we had the RCMP here, we had the town council here, and they said, here's what we're going to do. Here's the things we'll take care of to make you feel safe. What would have to be on that list for the conversation to end with you saying, yes, I think this is going to work?
Well, I'd just be happy with a couple guys patrolling the streets at night, just asking people why they're out, because obviously there was a car ripping around, and not just one person involved in the scene that night, from what I understand. And there's just free reign to do whatever they want until something happens, right? And then by then it's too late.
So the other part I'm trying to get at, and I'm kind of guessing you don't know the rest of the story about the policing coverage in Swan River, so forgive me for telling you, but I want your reaction. So if there is somebody on, the policing area here covers from the Madge Lake turnoff all the way up past the Stop-Toyac Reserve. So if somebody's working at night and they get a call, for example, at Pelican Rapids, which is right beside SAP, that car will go up there and is now over an hour from Swan River, even though there is somebody on. So when you talk about having people in Swan River, are you saying having somebody on in the whole area? Or are you saying having somebody that's actually staying in Swan River?
Well, I don't know. I guess there's nobody patrolling, and if someone was called out in Pelican, then they would still be an hour away from... so I honestly don't know what the solution is, but none of the streets are pretty rough out there, especially at night. And I don't know. I just want to live in peace,
Anything else you want to talk about today?
Well, unless you want to get going about the government tyranny and all that kind of stuff, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks very much for coming in. I know it's difficult to come and talk about something as traumatic as that, because I think there's no way to describe showing up at your business and seeing fire trucks and police officers as anything but traumatic. Yeah,
it was a little bit traumatic for sure. Definitely someone was out to hurt me, and, it worked, but I've been hurt worse before, so.
All right. Well, Rhonda, thanks very much for coming in and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
And good luck to you. We're certainly looking forward to seeing you rebuild.
Thanks.